Hello everyone, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Allison.
And this is Nerd of the Week, a randomly generated fandom podcast.
Yeah, we got it right.
Hey!
Like we always do.
Sometimes I mess up real bad though, so it's okay.
Well, I thought you messed up last time and you didn't, and that was on me, but it was totally fine both times.
We're fine. Everything's fine. Generator, would you like to remind everyone what the word we rolled on the generator chart thing was? I don't remember what we...
That's like if you need to write a paragraph with 100 words in it and you said all of them.
I said all of them, and I double-spaced between every word, and I made the period 10 font.
Gotta fill that page.
Gotta fill that page, because I got nothing to say. Anyway.
Generator, help.
Help.
The word of the week is... Behead.
Behead.
Chop,
All
chop,
right.
chop.
Google's definition is pretty straightforward.
To take off the head of a person, or you could use it as more of like a metaphor and like behead the government and like take out the head of a state or something like that.
Oh, okay. I like it. You were way more in depth, but
okay.
It's literally...
Sometimes Google does that, though.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
How do I know which words it wants to be in depth and which ones it wants to be basic?
Probably the more violent ones, it's a little bit more basic, and then the more obscure ones, it's like, here's a bajillion words that don't mean anything.
That's fair. That is fair. Google knows that the CIA is watching.
It's true. I mean, with me just Googling Behead, I'm sure that the FBI agent in my computer is like, what you doing, Steph?
Well, FBI agent, you're in for a treat. We got some real fun things to talk about today. Hope you're in for a wild ride.
Enjoy our podcast about beheading, I guess. Anyway, Google says it's to cut off the head of someone, especially as a form of execution.
Perfect.
Then that's it. And then there's
that's
just
it.
a bunch of... That's it. There's just like also a bunch of like French Renaissance paintings, so nothing cool in the images this time around.
Okay, fine. Whatever.
Yeah, but there you go.
I saw some weird stat that's like the last French beheading happened like the time where like Elvis was touring. Something weird like that. That is the wrong fact, but it was something obscure. Like, look how long the French were still beheading people.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of those that like... this was being built while this was happening, and you're like, I did not realize these overlapped. Yeah. History is wild.
Wow. Wild history.
Wow.
The more you know. Okay, we can't just talk about memes.
We could. We 1000% could. However, we're also here to talk about beheading.
Yeah, I don't know who goes first.
It's you.
It's me. Okay.
It's you.
It's me. It's me.
Allison.
All right. I got a real fun thing that is not a repeat of something that I've done before. Uh-huh. Which sounds ominous, but it's not. Please.
I mean, I was mildly expecting like Alice in the Wonderland again.
Yeah, it is.
Heck yeah!
But which one? It's the Disney, not the animated, but the live action one.
The live action?
Yeah.
With Johnny Depp?
Yep, that one.
I almost brought that. Yeah.
Oh my god, it would have been the time where our thoughts collided.
I legitimately, up until about 2 hours ago, was bringing that, and then I was like, I bet Allison's going to bring that, so I've switched mine.
You should have still. Whatever. We could have just had like an hour-long talk about Alice. Whatever. I don't know why I like Alice in Wonderland so much. I wasn't one of those like goth scene kids that like what like was into Alice in like a goth kind of way.
It's whimsical and fits tea parties. My guess is the tea.
Yeah, probably. If we're being honest here.
Not to boil it down to bare bones, but I think it's the tea.
But actually, yeah. Yeah, you've got me. You understood it before I did. So anyway, let's talk about this wonderful film. It came out in 2010, which is a long time ago. And I thought it was more recent than that.
It was really... Oh, jeez. Okay.
I remember seeing it in theaters.
Same.
I went to P.F. Chang's for dinner with my friend before we went to see it. and we were almost late to the movie.
Noise. I think
I
know
wonder if
I
my
went out
parents
to
still
eat.
remember that because they went with us too.
I know I went out to eat, but I don't remember where we went. But I remember seeing it with a handful of friends.
Yeah, it was a good one to see in theaters, I think, because it's a big cinematic thing.
Yeah,
Good
and it's
for the
really
big
pretty,
screen.
just visually, with all the colors and everything.
Yeah, and I think let's see, I'm looking here. It was still made by Disney, so like it's got that Disney budget behind it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if that's something to be said nowadays, but yeah, it definitely had the Disney budget. So as we said, it does have Johnny Depp in it. Also has Anne Hathaway as the White Queen. Helena Bonham Carter is the Red Queen.
Love her.
Yeah, she's really good for the role. Also, I think it's so cool how they like did her look because she has this giant head, but like she was obviously acting, so like all of it was like CGI'd where they had to like artificially inflate her head essentially.
Right, yeah.
But it's like just like eerie enough. It's like, are you real?
Yeah,
And,
she
like,
definitely
yes.
strikes Uncanny Valley. And they
Yeah.
managed to do that with Anne Hathaway, too. Like, even though I don't think she has any CGI, they make
No, I
her,
think
like...
it's just all like makeup and
yeah, they make
styling.
her airy enough that you're like,
yeah. I mean,
ethereal, I think is the right word.
even Mad Hatter, who's Johnny Depp, like he's just a funky little guy.
It's just a little guy.
He's just a little guy. And I mean Alice, gosh, who plays Alice? Mia Wasikowska. She's actually
Yeah.
I believe she's a ballerina.
Yeah,
If I'm
or something
remembering
like that.
correctly. Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
her first film or something like that. But she's all like airy and her hair is like so curly and beautiful. Oh, I was so jealous of her hair.
That's fair.
The costuming also, like just everyone's costumes are so pretty and so good. And it's like if there was a time and place to wear a big ball gown that maybe
God,
is
right.
a little silly, I would wear these costumes. They're so pretty. Anyway, so this kind of follows along with the Alice story, but it's like a grown-up version of it, kind of.
Yeah.
So basically, it starts out with Alice. She and her mother are kind of like in the process of kind of inheriting a shipping business from her father who'd passed away.
Yeah.
And then he had a business partner who's like kind of just wanting to like take over it all. And it's like, oh, they're women. They can't do anything here.
Classic women.
But to kind of like make, right? Can't do anything. So to kind of seal the deal, he has organized a marriage between his son and Alice.
A surprise one. She didn't know this was happening.
Yes, she did not. Basically, she's invited to this party with her mom. Her mom knows about it. And
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, right. Secrets. She's like, I don't want to go to the party. And her mom's like, but you have to. And you have to smile and you have to be nice. And then she like says, and where are your stockings or something like that? Alice has taken her stockings off because she didn't want to wear them.
Me. I never wear socks. The second I can get socks off my feet, I am a happier camper.
So already Alice is like poorly dressed, essentially.
Same.
She gets to the party and she doesn't have like any great friends there. It's kind of interesting because a lot of the characters who are at the party kind of like mimic the character she meets in Wonderland. So like there's these twin siblings who she's like, have you seen such and such a person? And they're like, oh yeah, they went this way. And like they both point in different directions and it mirrors like the Tweedledee and Tweedledum in Wonderland. But she thinks out of the corner of her eye, she's seen a rabbit in a waistcoat, which again, kind of mirroring the cartoon animation. And one of the original books, I don't remember if Through the Looking Glass or Alice in Wonderland.
I think it's through
Probably
the looking...
Wonderland. I think it's Wonderland. We talked.
Yeah.
Yes, we talked about that because she goes to his house. Yep.
Yep. We got there.
Anyway, so she keeps looking for this rabbit, and then she's like kind of cornered in the hedge maze by this guy, and he's like, "You look very ravishing today," and she's like, "Thank you. I'm gonna get on with my life." And he's like, I will see you promptly at the gazebo, Alice. Like he's just being like all weird.
Super weird and super sketchy.
Yeah. And she's like, okay. Well, she doesn't unfortunately find the rabbit at this point, but she does go to the gazebo as she's instructed to. And it's at that point that she realizes, oh no, this weird guy is going to propose to me. Oh, Hamish. Hamish is his name.
Hamish. Yep. I was like, the second you said it, I was like, oh God. And it just, even without seeing him, it just brings like a visual of just like
he's a loser.
Yeah.
Like they've given him, the costume designers, like a receding hairline and big buck teeth. Like he's not cute.
They've made him as unfortunate as possible.
And he's like, gets down on one knee. He's like, it would very much honor me, Alice, if you would be my wife. Like, he seems harmless enough, but also just like, that's not what she wants. She don't want this guy. Come on.
Right.
And she's like, she's like looking around at everyone, like trying to make the decision, like, should she say yes because it's what they expect, or should she say no and like risk being shunned? And then she sees the rabbit out of the corner of her eye, and he's like motioning to his watch, like, look, you're running out of time, Alice. And she's like, I need a moment. And she runs away. And everyone's like, what?
I mean, honestly, even if she hadn't seen the rabbit, like, randomly being proposed to by a guy that you don't really know, running away, fair option.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, just asking for a moment to think. It's very good.
Valid. Yeah, don't immediately say yes to random men who's proposed to you.
Yeah. Especially random men. If it's someone you know, and maybe it's okay.
But. Depends on the guy.
So anyway, she runs after the rabbit, and she gets more and more like into the hedge maze, and she's crawling under the underbush, and she falls into the rabbit hole just as she does in the cartoon, and she glides safely down until she lands in the garden. There's not like the whole shrinking and growing quite as much in this one. It's not like as big of a thing right now.
Yeah.
To get into the
like
garden.
hand-waved. Yeah.
I mean, they use it a little bit in some parts, but as of right now, she's just like getting to the garden. She just kind of like magically shrinks and gets in there. She then meets the caterpillar, who
Alan
he's like
Rickman.
Yes. Oh, it's like his last thing that he did, I think.
I know. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
R.I.P. Alan Rickman.
Yeah. Poor thing. But anyway, the caterpillar, he's very knowledgeable, and
Absalom, I think is the name.
Absalom. Yep. And he tells her, like, hey, you left us a long time ago in our hour of need, and we're so glad to have you back because you have to defeat the Jabberwocky on the Frabtious Day. And she's like, what's the Frabtious Day?
Them's are words you just spoke, and I don't know what any of them mean.
Right. So he brings out the, gosh, what do they call it? The compendium?
Yeah, I think it's the compendium.
I feel like it has a slightly
more ridiculous long
it.
name. Yeah.
Like, it's similar to compendium, but not quite.
List of things.
Oh, okay. Hold on. As I'm reading, apparently we also learned from Absalom that when she was there in the past, she kind of misunderstood, and she thought this was called Wonderland. It's not. It's Underland.
Oh, right.
And she's like, what?
Because it was the 2010s, and everything had to have a slight dark twist to it.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you're talking about like a Johnny Depp kind of movie, who's also helped by Tim Burton. Oh, yeah, Tim Burton. I forgot to mention that. He was part of this, too.
Yeah.
And music by Danny Elfman, if that makes anyone's heart flutter.
The Oraculum? Is that it? The Oraculum Compendium?
Yes, that sounds very familiar. All of these are words that it
All of
could
these are
be.
also words. I think it is. I'm on the AliceInWonderlandFandom.com wiki thing.
Okay.
And I believe that's what it is. Anyway.
Oh my goodness. So anyway, she learns like somehow she was predestined by this compendium to slay the Jabberwocky, and by doing so they could overthrow the Red Queen, who has laid waste to all of Underland. Basically, then we have kind of a flashback of like, yes, Underland is divided like down the center basically of Red Queen and White Queen's territory, and like White Queen's territory is like all lush and beautiful with all these flowers and trees, and then Red Queen's territory is like this scorched desert landscape that like is awful.
Yeah.
and there's always a storm brewing. It's a little bit like Lord of the Rings in that case. Like once you enter the kingdom of the evil one, it's suddenly awful.
Yeah, I guess it is.
So anyway, she agrees to do this, and she will be helped with by her friends. But first, she needs to figure out how to kill the Jabberwocky. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, hold on. There's a Cheshire Cat in here as well. He is talking to her while Absalom is talking to her.
Oh, yeah.
I love the Cheshire Cat in these films. I say these films. This one, and then there's a second one as well that he shows up in. I feel like has more personality in character than he does in either the book or the animation. Mm-hmm. And he's just kind of snarky, and I really like him.
He's also voiced by Stephen Fry, so like that's probably why you love him.
He also is drawn really cutely.
He is.
Has really big eyes. You know, like derpy cat eyes. Mm-hmm. Oh, they're so cute.
I love when they make him disappear, but it's just his eyes and his smile. It's sublime.
And his colors too. He's like, like you look at him and it's like, ooh, you could almost be like a real tabby cat, but like you're a little bit blue. Right. But like you're not purple like you are in the animation. So like, oh, he's so cute. I love him so much. He looks so fluffy too. The CG effects for the fluffiness is on point. So anyway, Alice needs to go meet the White Queen so that she can learn how to kill the Red Queen. So she does that. Mm-hmm. There are many events along the way, I would say. At one point, I think they encounter the Knave of Hearts, who's like the messenger for the Queen of Hearts. He doesn't like the Queen, but she loves him. She's obsessed with him. And so he does her bidding as like the knight in absentia, essentially, trying to catch Alice because he heard that she was back. So there's scuffles and things that happen. Anyway, she gets to the White Queen, who is making a weird soup. And somehow along the way, I'm so sorry, this is a bit scattered. The whole movie's a bit scattered.
Yeah, the whole movie, if you think about it, is kind of a fever dream anyway, so... Yeah.
Oh gosh, I wish I remembered a bit more of this. But anyway, at some point she gets a little bit shrunken down, and the White Queen gives her this broth that she's been making that grows her back to the right size again. Somehow also the Mad Hatter has crafted her another beautiful gown during this whole time. The Mad Hatter in the movie is like depicted as this master craftsman, which I love. Yeah. And he can sew anything. And obviously, I mean, Hatter, he's meant to do hatting. He does a really, really excellent job with it. He eventually gets thrown into prison, though. I think he sacrifices himself to the Queen of Hearts, the Red Queen. And off with his head is what she says.
She says that a lot.
Hence why behead. It's her favorite thing. There's this one part where Alice is going up to the castle, and there's just like this murky river of heads, and she has to step on the heads to like get over there. They're the stepping stones. It's so yucky.
Yeah.
It's gross. But anyway, the way that... So the Mad Hatter is imprisoned, but he kind of like gets himself a lighter sentence, I guess, or he doesn't have his head cut off because he says to the Red Queen, like, oh, I have never seen anyone who has such a marvelous globe of a skull. Like he's just like really blowing her head out of proportion. Pun intended. Basically, like, she was kind of made fun of for her big head for a long time. And he's like, no, it's a miraculous thing, and it would be a pleasure of mine if I could hat it. Like he wants to make her hats, basically. So she gives him a workspace in his prison cell, and Alice is allowed... Or hold on. I'm not there yet. Forget I said anything. So he's given a workplace in the prison cell so that he can make her hats, and he also kind of learns some intelligence along the way, essentially. Alice learns that she must find the Vorpal sword to kill the Jabberwocky.
Woo!
And the Vorpal sword is somewhere in the Queen of Hearts Red Queen's castle. So the White Queen tells her that she has to infiltrate, unfortunately. So that's why she was walking over all the beheaded skulls to get in there. She finds herself in the garden. I think she gets like catapulted there somehow when she was small, and then she has a potion that turns her big again. And so she is like this creature that just appears in the queen's garden as she's playing croquet with all of her court. And her court, oh, they're funny too, because they all have like weird shaped appendages. Like some of them have like really big chins. Someone has like a really big ear, and just like they're all a little weird looking. And it's like the queen surrounds her with people who have like physical differences, just like she does, to make herself feel better, which that's fine. There's nothing wrong with surrounding yourself with people who are like you.
Right.
But Alice accidentally made herself too big, so the queen's like, oh, a large person. That's something I'd like in my court. Come
Look
with
how
me.
big your head is.
Come be big-headed with me. So
doesn't she name herself or like what's your name? And she's like I'm just gonna join her court now.
Yeah, and they're like, where are you from? She's like, Umbridge. So she becomes the queen's favorite, and she gets to sit with the court. That's where she is able to kind of like at one point sneak away and see the Mad Hatter.
Yeah.
And like the Mad Hatter, he's sitting there like sewing, and he's puttering around, and he's like smiling. He's like, look at all these hats I've made. Oh, I've not done such hatting in so long, Alice. And she's like, you seem very happy. And then he like turns and he like attacks his mannequin. He's like, no, I'm imprisoned under this evil queen. And like he flips. He can't handle it. And she's like, don't worry. And she like
He's
calms
not meant
him
for
down.
captivity.
He is not. Oh, certainly not. He is feral. But she calms him down, and she like does this very like caring sort of gesture that I think it was like a reference to something from earlier, where she like puts her hand on his forehead, and it's like, you know how people like would take your temperature before thermometers existed, and she's like, don't worry, you're quite well. And he's like, but am I mad? And she's like, you're quite mad. Or something like that. It's just very sweet and like affirming, like, it's okay, you are you, and you're fine.
Right.
But they've come up with a plan. You are exactly who you're supposed to be. So he's unfortunately to be beheaded anyway. The queen has decided she's had enough. At the same time, Alice learns that the Vorpal sword is kept in the Bandersnatch's den. The Bandersnatch is like a Cerberus kind of thing that the Red Queen keeps. Like, it's a big dog, and he's a good boy, but like,
he's a good boy.
Not that good of a boy. Like, he's kind of cute, but like, I wouldn't want to have to deal with him, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's this plan where she has to go and, let's see, she has to like trade something to him for the sword. I feel like it's his eye. I think like he had lost his eye. Hold on, let me read this.
Yeah, it's his eye.
So I don't know how he lost his eye. I feel like somehow the queen took it out, which that's gruesome.
Yeah,
why would you do that to your pet?
She's kind of a bad person.
Yeah, kind of. I guess so. I'm so sorry. I wish I knew how she got. Oh, I remember how she got the eye. The dormouse has the eye.
Oh, it does. Yep.
Yeah, the dormouse, and she like steals it from him when she had gone to the Mad Hatter's tea party earlier. So she had the eye. It's the key to the secret, and she like exchanges it to the Bandersnatch, and he's all happy to have his eye back. It's really gross. He like licks it to get it all moistened again, and then just like pops it back in the socket.
If only it were that easy.
Right? And then he willingly gives her the sword. He like flops over on his belly and's like, have the sword. And he's a happy boy to get his eye back. So she's like, thank you so much. So now she has the sword, but we also have to save the Hatter. So the day of his execution, he's like marched out, and they're like, place your head here on the chopping block. And he's like, okay, but make sure that my hat is there too. So like they let him keep his hat on, and then like they strike down with their big axe, the executioner. And like his body kind of disappears and the hat like floats up into the sky. And everyone's like, what's going on here? And then like the kitty, the Cheshire Cat, appears underneath the hat. So the Cheshire Cat, even though he is the cat and he can disappear and reappear, he can also shapeshift, and he turned himself into the Mad Hatter. So the Mad Hatter was able to escape. And during that time as well, they had figured out that all the people in the Queen's court, all of their like body features were all prosthetics. So they weren't even real. They were just normal people.
Right.
And
they just didn't want to be beheaded.
Right. So they just like expose them all, and the Queen feels like, oh my gosh, everyone has turned against me. But like there's nothing she can do about it, and Alice and everyone escape before she can really do something. But now it's war. So they take the Vorpal sword back to the White Queen. She does some sort of like blessing ritual for it, I think, that like I think puts some spell on it that's like, okay, now you'll be able to kill the Jabberwocky for sure. And then there's this whole battle scene that plays out. So the White Queen and the Red Queen march all of their pawns and bishops and whatnot, chess piece kind of things.
Yeah. Isn't the battlefield like straight up a chessboard?
Yeah, it is. It is. And it has one like singular like tower in the middle of it, essentially. And the Queen, the Red Queen, she has her Jabberwocky in tow. And so Alice is like, all right, everybody, you have to just like distract everyone else, keep everyone away. I will slay the Jabberwocky. But this whole time, like she'd been telling everybody, like, I can't slay the Jabberwocky. I'm just a girl. I'm just me. Like I can't kill this thing. And everyone's like, you're not the Alice we remember. Like the Alice we remember would have done this for us. And she's like, well, maybe I've changed. And they're like, we think you got it in ya. And like this whole journey of like rescuing people and going through Wonderland, like it's been her like regaining back her, they call it her muchness, which I think is very cute. Like the Mad Hatter at one point, he's like, you're much more, or you were much more you in the past. You've lost all of your muchness. So she finally gets her muchness back. And she's like, I can slay the Jabberwocky. And she goes on this wonderful battle. She has bright shining armor because she is the Knight of the White Queen. And she is able to also behead the Jabberwocky. Actually, I think she cuts out its tongue first because it was talking. And so she cuts out its tongue, and then it can't talk to her anymore. And that makes it angry, and it like gets furious and has misjudgments basically. So she is able to cut off its head. Yeah. And everyone celebrates. Red Queen is all sad. She's like, my poor little baby Jabberwocky, you killed him. And then they're like, okay, we've taken over all of your land now. Like the White Queen wins and she rules all of Wonderland now. And she's like, no, not my sister. You can't do this to me. And she's like, I'm sorry, I must. And then the knave also is going to be like imprisoned in this desert island with her. And she's like, at least we have each other. And the knave is like, no, anything but imprisonment with her forever, please. Anything. Right. And the White Queen is like, I think that's the punishment you deserve, dearie. She doesn't say that, but that's the sentiment. So Alice, she feels good about herself now. She's regained the muchness. She's helped defeat Wonderland. There's some tearful goodbyes with her best friends, like with the Mad Hatter. She's like, don't worry, I'll always remember you. I'll never forget. And he's like, a true friend never forgets. It's very sweet.
Doesn't he also have like a running riddle that makes no sense?
No, I think he just talks in nonsense.
Well, there's
why. You're right. Why is a raven like a writing desk? And she's like, I don't know. And he's like, I don't either.
That's always been in my head somewhere. I'm like, but why is it like a writing desk?
I think it's something about Edgar Allan Poe, but I'm not sure. But
unclear.
Anyway, he has like a lisp and kind of talks in a Scottish accent the whole time, which is funny. Also, just an aside, of all of the Johnny Depp characters that I've seen. I feel like this is like the goofiest one, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, he's very unserious.
For someone who played Captain Jack Sparrow, this is like the goofiest thing he's ever done.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very, it's a weird turn, but I think he does it really good. Mm-hmm. Whatever people may feel about Johnny Depp, I don't care. He's still a good actor. Anyway, so she says, okay, I've got to go back now. I promise I won't forget. And she goes back. She comes out of the bushes. She walks right back up to Hamish. She's like, Hamish, I'm sorry. I can't marry you. And then she like turns to the crowd and she like addresses every one of them who had done her any injustice in the past. And she's like, and you're a bunch of like lying snobs and you need to grow a backbone. And I'm sorry, but you can't keep wearing that color. It's not good for you. Like, she's brutally honest with all these people. And then she's like, and one more thing, she like lifts her skirts up and like, look, I'm not wearing stockings. And she does a weird dance. And she's like, so there. And then her mom is like, oh, okay. I guess I have a cool daughter now. Let's go. And they just like march back off into the sunset in their coach. And like they end up doing their own thing. They run their own business. She becomes a ship captain. And there's a butterfly, a blue butterfly at the end that comes and like lands on her shoulder. And she's like, hello, Absalom. It's like, did he follow you from Wonderland? What? I don't quite understand why Absalom as the butterfly happens to be there.
I think the thing was like, it's not just a fever dream, it was real.
Okay.
That was what I took away from it, but could just be that a random butterfly went by and she was just saying hi, and now all butterflies are named Absalom now.
Right. It's like when a little kid, if you see one dog, they're all named whatever your dog's name is at home.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, she's a ship captain. She's independent. She doesn't have to marry stupid Hamish. And she killed the Jabberwocky, as we all should.
As we all should. Kill your Jabberwocky with the Vorpal sword.
Yes. Inspirational words. Truer words have never been spoken. So anyway, that's Alice in Wonderland. I think it has a lot of really good qualities, and I stand by this movie.
It's a good movie. I like it a lot. Also, Vorpal sword in D&D is like, if you roll a critical on it, you like behead the creature that you are fighting. So that is also another use of behead.
Perfect.
I think it's because of Alice in Wonderland as like it took inspiration from, but
maybe
Vorpal swords are cool.
The whole Jabberwocky poem is actually from Through the Looking Glass.
Right.
So that is the thing. When I was little, I actually had a like picture book of just the Jabberwocky poem. It was a really pretty book. It was really well done.
Nice.
I don't know if I still have that. My parents would have it. Hey, Dad, if you're listening, go find the Jabberwocky book.
Yeah, I want to see it.
We'll see if we can find it. I honestly don't know if we have it still. But anyway. So that was Alice.
It's so good. All right. I have a quote for you.
Okay. Remember last episode, I said that I maybe wanted to bring a quote as well?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I have not quite a quote. I have a piece of music that I want you to listen to.
Okay.
If you're down to play a game.
Sure.
Okay, cool. All right, so this is an excerpt of a piece.
All right, I'm listening to it. That was very climactic. Words
Climactic?
That's the word.
Yeah, it was. So yeah, that's my quote that I brought for this week, even though I wasn't supposed to bring a quote. Do you know what it's from?
I have not even an inkling of an idea.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
I'll tell you later then.
Sounds good. I'm assuming some piece of music that's related to beheading in some capacity.
Maybe.
Maybe she says. Okay.
Listener, if you know what this piece of music is, comment anywhere you find us.
Yeah, let us know how uncultured swine I am. I appreciate it.
But also, what's your quote? What's the real thing that we're supposed to be doing here?
Okay.
Instead of my silly little game.
It's two people talking to each other. Mm-hmm. So, I will have the power to get rid of you. To think that we gotta keep kissing up to that chump, his chump daughter, for the rest of our lives. No, only until she finds a chump husband. Then she'll have us banished. Or beheaded.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
If you know what Allison's piece of music or my quotes from, feel free to reach out to us on social media using the hashtag Nerd of the Week or NOTWP. We're on most of them in some capacity. And yeah, we'd love to hear from you. So I, instead of bringing Alice in Wonderland, decided last minute that I was bringing the video game Hades.
The audience, she could have brought Alice in Wonderland.
I could
and
have.
we could have just talked about it for an hour together.
I just have been friends with you for a long time. And then I went, the reason you're thinking of this is Allison's probably going to bring it. And then I was like, I have to bring something else now.
Fine, tell me about Hades. Sounds dark.
It's gay and adorable and a little dark.
Okay. Not what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, it's a roguelike video game that was made in 2020. So Height of the Global Panini was something I was very obsessed with for a bit there. But roguelike basically means that you start in a starting area and then you try to get out as far as you can. And then when you die, you start back at the beginning, but you have slight upgrades. So every time you go through, it gets a little bit easier. And then getting sent back to the beginning like adds to the story somehow. And so this story is centered around a character named Zagreus, who's the prince of the underworld and son of Hades and Persephone. So it's kind of it's a rehashing of the Hades and Persephone mythos.
Okay.
And so Zagreus has been trying to escape the underworld, and he wants to, just get to the land of the mortals because Hades, being a unavailable, unemotional father, is just like, nothing good comes from mortals and blah, 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 and you shouldn't. And he's like, why don't you talk to me? And he's like, no, I won't. And then so Hades is like, all right, screw you, Dad. I'm going to go anyway. And so you go through and you try to fight your way through a handful of rooms. And first you're in... oh god, there's different names for the underworld and I don't remember them at the top of my head. It's the various stages of hell, right? So it's
like the 7 levels of hell kind of thing, like Dante's Inferno?
No, more Hades mythology because Erebus. There's the one where
I don't know this very much. I'm so sorry.
Hang on, I'll find it.
I don't know this hell mythos.
I'm sorry, I'll figure it
My
out. Hang
hell
on.
worldview is different. Sorry. We sound like
okay.
Satanists.
We are a little bit. That's not true at all. Don't take that out of context.
Please don't take that out of context. Please.
Okay, so it's Tartarus, Asphodel, and Elysium.
Elysium.
So Elysium is where if you were like a hero, like Achilles, you would go to. Asphodel was kind of the middle ground.
Wait. I understand now. So it's not hell as in like hell. It's hell as in like just the underworld where the dead souls go.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
I
and so
understand now.
The river
Sorry.
Styx, and Chiron is so it's all that mythos specifically.
Okay.
So you start in Tartarus, and then you have to work your way up to Asphodel, and then you have to work your way through Elysium. And if you get out of Elysium, then you can make it to the mortal realm. And so that's the shtick, is that Zagreus is trying to go through this over and over again. And he runs into, I believe it's Zeus the first time who reaches out to him. But Zeus or one of the other gods basically discovers that someone's trying to break out of hell, and they find out that he's Hades' son. So they're like, well, you're part of the family. We want to get to know you. What they don't know is that he's Persephone's son as well, but they do know he's related to Hades in some capacity. Mm-hmm. So as you go through, Achilles and Poseidon and Demeter, all these different gods are like basically giving you power-ups and boons to try to make it easier for you to break out of hell.
Power up from the gods.
Yeah. And so you move your way forward, and then there's to get through each section, there's once you get to like the end of Tartarus, there's a boss level, and then once you get to the end of Asphodel, there's a boss level, and so on. And so the first boss level is Megara, and so she is a harpy, I think. I could be wrong, but functionally, she is Zagreus's ex. And she is like, your father doesn't want you to leave, and you need to stay here. And she's a fury. She's one of the 3 furies. That's it.
Okay.
And she's like, you need to stay. So then you fight her, and then if you win the fight, then you can move on. And if you lose the fight, she makes fun of you relentlessly when you get sent back to the beginning. Which the beginning is Hades' like domain, is this temple or whatever. And so there's Megara sometimes there is a floating Medusa. I don't remember her name, but she's adorable, and she like goes around and cleans the house and has a tiny crush on you. And like every time you go up to her, she's like, and like runs away. It's just really cute because she's just like trying really hard to talk to you, but she can only handle so much interaction.
Oh no.
And then
same.
Right, flirting is hard. And then Nyx, who Zagreus thought was his mom originally, is there occasionally giving you hints and help, and basically being like, no, your father's kind of dumb and you should definitely go. And Cerberus is there being the best boy. He gets a bed, and you can find his squeaky toy out in the world, and you can give him bones, and he just loves you forever. And
yes. I live for good boy Cerberus content.
Yeah, and you can go up and pet him. At any point, you can pet the dog, and 2 of the heads like scritches, and one of the heads just tolerates it for a minute, but then is like, no, pet the other heads. And it's just delightful. I'm here for all good Cerberus lore. And then as you keep going, so you defeat Megara eventually, and then you get through Asphodel, which is more of like the Hellfire style of hell that people think of, and that's got the 3-headed beast in it, which is called a Hydra. There it is, Hydra. And you have to behead the Hydra and cut off all the heads.
Don't they... Oh, sorry. You're maybe getting to this. Don't they grow back, though?
So in most lore, yes. In this one, no. But there are 3 of them, and they're a bitch to fight. And it's absolutely impossible the first time you go in and you're not expecting all the heads to, like, come after you. And if you're in a harder mode, / like, you're further along, the head, if you cut it off, it doesn't go away immediately. It just chases you around the map and tries to eat you. And it's terrifying. And the first time it happens, you're like, holy crap. So here's my loose tie into beheading there.
Perfect. Is good.
Is good. And then you once you eventually fight and you successfully get through, then you end up in Elysium, where one of the boss battles is the Minotaur and his heavily implied boyfriend, which is hilarious because like they clearly act like they're not together, but if you down the Minotaur first in the battle, then the other champion is like, no, how dare you, and gets like really upset and then like comes at you with a fury, and you're like, those two, they're together.
What does the Minotaur do if you do the other way?
Basically functionally the same. He just doesn't talk as much because he's like the strong stoic type.
Oh, okay.
Because he's a Minotaur. And then
Can Minotaur talk? Isn't there only one Minotaur?
This one can talk. I think there is only one Minotaur, and this one guards Elysium now that he's dead. Question mark. Unclear. I don't have a great answer for you.
That's okay. I don't need the answer. It was just a passing fancy.
And then you also get other characters in there too, like Achilles is Zagreus's mentor and taught him how to fight. And when you get to Elysium, you actually run into Patroclus, and you slowly reunite them, where they both discovered that the other one died, but they didn't know the other one died. And so you... the first time you meet him, you're like, you sound really familiar, and Patroclus won't tell you his name. And then you go back and you talk to Achilles, and Achilles is like, wait, what? And then you're like, wait, hang on. So then you have to fight your way back and then get back to Patroclus. And he's like, yeah, so Achilles was supposed to come rescue me and he never came and I'm real sad. And you're like, wait, no, I can reunite you two. And so through a series of shenanigans, you heavily imply to Achilles that if he happens to step through this one specific portal, he might be able to go find his boyfriend. And then later on you go and they're together and it's so cute. Aww. And you're like, oh, yes, I got them back together. And then the other, so Zagreus is hella bisexual, and he has Megara as his ex-girlfriend, who you can rekindle their romance. And there's also Thanatos, the Lord of Death, and he and Zagreus have these battles where they're fighting, but eventually Thanatos realizes that like Zagreus is going to do this no matter what. So instead of showing up to fight you, he shows up to help you through the mission and whatever level you're on. And then the two of them like get through that mission or that level together, and then they can move on. And it's just real cute, and I'm here for it, and I love them. And then eventually you get through Elysium, and you're in kind of the last little stage where it's the Temple of Styx, and Cerberus
Styx with an X, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the one with
just
the
like
river.
a little wooden hut.
The one with the river.
Okay.
And it's where the river starts, and Cerberus is waiting for you, and you're like, oh no, I gotta fight Cerberus, and like I can't fight Cerberus, he's my dog.
Yeah. Was he a good boy?
Yeah, and so he's just like, Zagreus is like, I guess this is it, buddy. And then Cerberus like rolls on his back, and then they both start laughing like, no, we're not fighting each other. And so you, instead of fighting Cerberus, you have to go find him a big pile of meat, and then you throw the pile of meat and bones for him, and then he gets distracted and eats that.
Why can't he find his own pile of meat?
Because you gotta feed the dog, Allison.
Oh,
and it's
okay. Because
cute.
he's never been fed in his life.
Entire life. He's a doggo.
He's starving.
He's
his
never
bowl
eaten.
Has 2 kibbles in it.
He has
There's
3
not
heads,
enough.
and they've never tasted food. So...
But by golly, every 5 p.m. they're gonna try.
Yep, and he's very upset with you. So eventually you feed Cerberus, and then finally you.
Does he eat it too fast and then throw up?
You know, it's never implied that. I think with 3 heads, I don't think he has to eat it too fast. I think they rip it apart together.
Good. Now, the question is, does he have 3 stomachs, or does he have just 3 esophagi that go into one stomach?
I am under the impression that he has 3 esophagi that go into one very large, empty dog stomach who's never been fed. And so it's a bottomless pit.
Hungry.
Like most most lab-like dogs.
Yes. Okay. I'm glad we sorted out the Cerberus anatomy. Thank you.
It's very important. This is mostly why I wanted to bring Hades to you, is because you needed to know more about Cerberus again.
Okay, but hypothetical question. Can you imagine taking neck x-rays on Cerberus? Like, how are you going to get all those good boys to lay in the right position?
I mean, like, he's such a good boy, though. Like, he's well-trained, so as long as you have, like, Hades with you, I bet he could be like, all right, head 1, head 2, head 3. Like, I bet you could do it if you had the right person with you to get x-rays on the neck.
And I bet Hades doesn't care about the radioactivity either, so he'd be a good radiology assistant.
An immortal god of death, so a little bit of x-ray exposure is probably fine for him.
Okay. Good talk.
Glad we figured that out.
Thank you. Okay. Onward.
So then you get to, you leave the Temple of Styx, and then you're finally on the mortal realm, and then Hades shows up, and he's like, you made it, I'm impressed, you've made it out of hell, but you gotta fight me now. And so at first, it's very much like a father suppressing the son, but like as you go through, it's like the one moment where they get to talk. So like they both kind of start looking forward to it every time you get out, to having this interaction and having this fight, and like they start to bond. And eventually, once you finally beat Hades, you've functionally gone through the entire arc of the game, and then you get out and you see Persephone, and she's so stoked. She's like, oh, my boy, I didn't think you were alive, because
my boy
people had told her that he had died in he was a stillborn, and so Persephone couldn't handle it, so she went back to the mortal realm to be with her mom, and so Hades never told her that he kind of played some jiggery pokery and resurrected Zagreus, which is why he can't leave hell, is because he is a child of Hades and cannot leave that realm, and he can only exist on the mortal plane for like an hour at most. And so
rules. Oh my god.
Right? Dang, gods following their rules. And so you go on further and further through the story, and then Zagreus, now that he's seen his mom and knows who it is, wants to go back. So then you get a little bit more every time you go out, and eventually the other gods start to catch on, and they're like, wait, what did Hades do? And as you go, eventually you like reconcile the family, and like Zeus comes down and realizes what happened, and then is like, they have this cute, happy family reunion, and then Persephone comes back to hell for, like, the winter months, quote-unquote, and so then she's visiting, and they have a cute, like, reconciliation moment, and they're a big, happy family, and it's so cute, and I'm mildly obsessed with this game. Anyway. I have never liked roguelites in my life, and I probably wouldn't play another one unless it had like this level of depth to it with the story and the characters.
This level of Cerberus.
Honestly, it's Cerberus.
Cerberus makes the day.
And the fact that you have some wonderful romance characters, and then you can get people back together, and it's just cute. And I'm here for it. And also Thanatos is just a good boy. He's a little bit of the, like, emo goth boyfriend, but it's okay. We get there.
That's okay. Get there in the end.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah. And they're making a second one, and I don't know what it's about yet, but whenever it comes out, I'm going to be really stoked, and I'm probably going to tell you about that one, too.
All right. You tell me about it. I dare you to.
I will.
I dare you.
And that's Hades in a nutshell.
Perfect. Thank you for telling me all about Cerberus.
You're welcome.
That's what I got out of this.
The only thing you need to know is all dogs are good dogs.
Wait. But okay, hold on. It should actually be the Temple of Styx with like wooden sticks, because Cerberus, and he likes to chase sticks, I bet.
You know, that would be really funny. It definitely feels like the kind of pun that Supergiant Games would pull. And it wouldn't surprise me if it's in there and I just missed it.
Someone should just make a game where your objective is take care of Cerberus.
I agree.
Like just that. That's all.
just want to pet Cerberus. Can I pet that dog?
I don't think that I'd want a 3-headed dog, though.
Probably not.
Like, just subjectively speaking, I don't think I'd want that.
If it was like an immortal hellbeast, though, that you could ride into battle, more willing.
What battles do I have?
I don't know. I would come up with a battle. If I had a 3-headed dog that was an immortal hellbeast, I would create a battle to ride into. It might be LARPing, but that's okay. I would get Cerberus really into LARPing. That's what I would do.
Well, I'm certainly not riding Cerberus into work. I don't have enough place to put him during the day.
You could just hang out under your desk while you do your notes.
I have a tiny desk.
Maybe he can shrink. Maybe he's got like super god powers where he can just get real small.
Shrink. Oh my gosh,
and he can sleep on your lap.
Cerberus. Oh.
And then you could just pet all his heads while you're doing notes. I can just
imagine a baby Cerberus. He's like 10 pounds. Oh my gosh.
And he's a little top heavy because he doesn't know where his head is yet.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's perfect. All right. He's back on the I would have him side.
I've sold you on Cerberus.
Yes. Sold. All right, perfect.
All right, now that I've convinced you that Cerberus is a good boy and for pets only and to have as a pet, what is the music that you played for me?
What is the music? What is music? We must first ask ourselves, what is music before we can ask, what is this music? Let me take you back. No.
Oh, God.
Okay, so the music is the March to the Scaffold from Symphonie Fantastique by Hector Berlioz, who is a French romantic composer, and he wrote this symphony as a creepy love letter to some actress that he wanted to marry, and he basically hallucinated this whole tale where it's like he met her at a ball and fell in love with her, and she got him arrested, and he was marched to the scaffold, which is like the beheading grounds. And he was beheaded, but then he like somehow survived, and like she turned into a witch. And there's the movement after this one, there's like a witch's like, what is it called? Ceremony?
Oh, like a convent? A coven,
yeah.
Yep.
Yes. And so she doesn't marry him. However, in real life, when he premiered the symphony and she heard it after begging, and also I think threatening to blackmail her with committing suicide, she said, yes, I will marry you.
Oh, God.
Needless to say, it didn't last.
Yeah,
if you'd like to hear more about this, listen to my other podcast, the Coffee House Classical Music Podcast. But that is what the music is from, and it's the end where there's a clarinet solo. That is the Beloved's theme, where right before he is beheaded, he remembers her, and it's like, this is how it all happened because of her.
Is that like little uptick, and then all of a sudden there's that loud noise?
Yep, that's the beheading.
Okay.
That's
what it felt like.
Yep.
When listening to it, that's what it felt like. I was like, oh, so he's like off on his own and he's dead.
Yep.
Okay.
You got it. You got it.
I got it.
That's programmatic music, baby. Thank you for playing my game of Guess the Song.
Your musical degree is showing.
Thank you. So, can you tell me your quote again?
I will. All right, so I will have the power to get rid of you. To think we gotta keep kissing up to that chump and his chump's daughter for the rest of our lives. No, only until she finds a chump husband. Then she'll have us banished or beheaded.
Okay, is it from Aladdin?
It is from Aladdin.
Oh my gosh, woo!
Nice. It's Iago and Jafar talking after Jasmine's like, I'm going to get rid of you once I become queen.
Nice. Okay, cool. What I feel like is even more miraculous, I've never seen the animation. I've only seen the musical. So I was just going on context clues and tone.
That's fair. I haven't seen the musical. I would love to see the musical. The animated version is sublime because Robin Williams exists and is the genie, and it's just delightful. Do recommend.
Yeah, no, I've heard good things. It looks good. I've of course seen like little snippets here and
right,
there,
yeah.
but yeah, I should watch it someday. Sounds good.
Do recommend. Cool. Right. What's next? Generator.
What is next? What is next?
Tell us what the word for the next podcast recording is.
The next word is interactive.
Ooh, beep beep boop boop, interactive.
I have ideas.
I think I have an idea, and I'm curious to see how I fit it into this.
I am curious to see how you fit it into this too. Right. So that's the end of the podcast, I think. I think we've made it.
I think so. We had a wild ride. A lot of fun.
We had a wild ride involving good boys and petting them. And somehow related to beheading, which is wild to me that was what we talked about instead. But you know what?
You know, I think both of our things this week had good big creatures.
Yeah, that's true.
Creatures. That's
Good.
what I'm going to put as the tagline this time in the little episode description.
Creatures.
Perfect.
Cannot pet that dog. All right, so thanks for making it to the end of the podcast. We appreciate you. If you enjoyed us or we gave you a sensible chuckle, feel free to share us with a friend and let them know that we're kind of funny sometimes. And we talk about nerdy things, which, like, who doesn't need more of that in their life?
Losers.
Did you just call them?
The people who don't need more of the nerdiness in their lives.
Okay, I got you. I'm here.
Yeah, our listeners are cool because they do need the nerdiness in their
They
lives.
do need the nerdiness. It's true. Always more nerdiness in our life. Anyway, I'm going to end the podcast. Thanks again for listening. As always, I've been Stephanie.
And I've been Allison.
And don't let Big Fence get in your way.
Never. Goodbye.
Bye.